guys, welcome back to my kitchen. So I've been waiting for an opportunity to show you guys a quick fix weeknight meal recipe, and I found it with this dish. So our culinary travels have taken us to the Mediterranean, and I figured this would be a perfect opportunity to show you guys a one-pot pasta dish. It is a Pomodoro pasta. And for a long while, I've had no interest in looking into one-pot pastas. They pretty much are, or have been, all the rage. It just seemed odd to me. I'm, old school. I always cook my pasta separate and then either top it or finish it in a sauce. And I'm thinking, how great could it be? It's probably like chewy or clumpy or something's got to be wrong with it. But after seeing so many tutorials, and even, my God, Martha Stewart has a one-pot pasta recipe, I figured, all right, let me give it a try. So I looked through, there's tons of them out there. So I chose to go with a very basic, simple pasta recipe for this tutorial. But I did test out the cooking method 2 times before doing this tutorial, just so I could understand what was going to happen, and I was pleasantly surprised that it cooked the pasta to a perfect al dente. And not only did it cook it to a perfect al dente, it infused it with tons of flavor. Now, the one thing I will say about one-pot pasta recipes, you don't really have like a ton of sauce or gravy in the end when you're done cooking, because you're actually cooking the majority of that into the pasta. So if you're like somebody who likes dipping your bread or your pasta dripping with sauce or gravy or Alfredo or whatever it is you're making, there really isn't a lot at the end when it's finished, but it is coating the pasta and infused into the pasta, and it really is a great weeknight quick pasta dish. So, enough talking. Let's get cooking. Okay, so let's talk about the ingredients needed to make this dish. So first off, let me say, because this is a simplistic dish, not only because it's simple to actually cook, but there's very few ingredients, you need to be using the freshest, best ingredients that you can get. So let me quickly go over those. We're gonna be using 3 very large fresh cloves of garlic. I'm using a medium-sized shallot, but you can certainly use a small yellow onion. I also have really fresh basil leaf. I'm gonna be starting with about 4 leaves when we start cooking, and then I'll garnish with some more fresh. We're gonna be using 4 cups of water. This is a 2-cup measuring cup, so I'll just double that at the time that I actually cook the pasta. Some fresh cracked black pepper. You're going to need some salt. I have some Mediterranean salt. And I have on hand a little bit of granulated sugar. You may need to use a pinch or a 1/4 teaspoon. Sometimes when you're cooking with tomatoes, they can be acidic. I find it's hit or miss whether they're fresh or canned. Sometimes you just have really acidic tomatoes, and using a little pinch of sugar will help to knock down the acidity. Now, because this is a simple dish, you need to get a good quality pasta. Normally when I cook pasta, I'll typically use Barilla, sometimes I'll use Ronzoni. That typically runs anywhere from $1.50, $1.65, $1.70 a box or a pound. This is Di Cecco brand pasta. It's an imported Italian pasta. It runs about $2.50 a box. I highly recommend you spend the extra $1. Overall, to begin with, this is an inexpensive dish because it is a pasta dish and there's not a lot of ingredients. So spend the extra $1 so it really tastes fresh and yummy. Now, here I am going on about getting the best quality, freshest ingredients, and what do I have next to me? A can of tomatoes. And there's a reason for that. One is because I want this to be a quick fix meal, and there are plenty of one-pot recipes out there that use fresh tomatoes. However, I have a pet peeve with using fresh tomatoes. I don't like tomato skins. And so whenever I cook with fresh tomatoes, I have to do a process in order to remove the skins before I cook with them. Because when you cook tomatoes, the skin will separate from the flesh. And then it rolls up into this like little pointy, annoying thing. And it's completely edible because it's a tomato, but I absolutely hate it. So there's a process where you would score the bottom in an X mark of your tomato, enough to cut through the skin. You don't have to cut deep into the flesh, but enough to cut the skin. And then you would submerge them in some simmering water on your stove for about 30 seconds. And then you drain them and let them cool until you're able to handle them. And then you're literally able to peel the skin off the tomato. So I opted to go ahead and use already peeled chopped tomatoes in a can to avoid that process. Now, if you don't mind taking the time to do that to remove the skins, then by all means, go ahead and do that. Get a carton of small cherry tomatoes or 3 or 4 plum tomatoes and do the process to remove the skins. Or if it doesn't bother you to have the skins in your sauce, don't worry about it. I hate it, so I'm using the canned version that are already peeled. Now, the one I'm using today, it's a Tutoroso brand. They are San Marzano tomatoes, and they are the cream of the crop tomato. They have the most flavor and are the sweetest tomatoes. So that's what I chose to use. And you're also going to need some olive oil. So, I think we've gone over all the ingredients. Grab yourself a glass of vino, and I will meet you at the stove where we're gonna put all this together and make a really yummy pasta dish.
So here I have my saute pan on the stove. I'm putting the heat up just above medium, and I'm going to add the 1/4 cup of olive oil. I like to saute the onion and garlic prior to putting all the other ingredients into the pan. It just brings out the flavor and infuses it into the oil and makes the dish more yummy. So here I have the 3 large cloves of garlic thinly sliced. I'll put that in the pan. And next I'll add the chopped shallot. And we're just going to saute that until it softens and becomes aromatic, when you really smell that garlic and onion smell. Here I have the 12 ounces of San Marzano tomatoes, and I'll add that to the pan. Now just give that a quick stir. I'm also going to add 2 pinches of sugar just to knock down some of the acidity in the tomato. And also add 2 teaspoons of some Mediterranean sea salt. And next I'm going to add the 4 cups of water. Here's 2. And 2 more. And a little bit of cracked black pepper. Now the salt and pepper is totally to taste. Stir that in. And now I'm going to add the whole box or 1 pound of spaghetti, and just be careful when you add it to your sauce that you don't splash it everywhere. We're just going to place that down in the pan, and in a few minutes once it softens we can really stir it in. You can move it around, but just be careful not to break the spaghetti. Now I'm going to add 6 basil leaves. Chopped up roughly, just put it in there. Stir a little. And I'm gonna just taste the broth to see if it needs any adjustment. And it can use about 1/4 teaspoon more of the salt. So it's come up to a simmer. This will take approximately from the time that it actually starts to boil till it's cooked, about 12 minutes. So now we have a good boil going. We're gonna place the lid on and we're gonna come back in 2 minutes and give it a good stir. Don't forget to lower your heat, a little below medium. 2 minutes have passed and the pasta has softened enough that we can actually move it around, so give it a stir. Make sure it's not sticking to the bottom of the pan or itself. Put the lid back on. 2 to 3 minutes later, come back and give it another good stir. And the lid back on. Approximately 10 minutes have passed since the time that the liquid has come up to a boil and we first put the lid on. And now a lot of that liquid and juice has been absorbed by the pasta. I'm just gonna check the pasta for doneness. Mine needed the extra 2 minutes, so I put the lid back on. And here it is, 2 minutes later, and it's done. Shut off the heat, let's plate and taste.
Okay, so here you have it, guys. Pomodoro pasta, one pot recipe. And I have to say, it looks really good. Now, I've just put some basil garnish on top. You can certainly tear up some more and add more fresh to it if you want. I just did a little garnish. I'm also gonna add some Parmesan cheese. Okay. A little red pepper flake. And a drizzle of olive oil. Okay. Let's taste it. Okay. Ooh. Whoops. Okay. Let it go. All right. Mmm. The garlic, basil, the tomato, even the olive oil and the cheese at the end, so delicious. Who would have thought a one-pot pasta dish that could taste this good? Unbelievable. Salud. Well, guys, I hope you really try this recipe. It really is quick and easy and delicious. Until next time, guys, bye.